Welcome in. It is day 139, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're jumping into one of my favorite series of games. This is a combo at this point, because we're going from the main regular game that I played, after it was turned into a legacy game. That game is Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. So, the idea of Clank Legacy is it tends to follow the original Clank. You're back in the dungeon. This isn't Clank in space. However, unlike the regular Clank, this takes on an unbelievable legacy adaptation. Now, Legacy is all about playing games repetitively. This game goes for a 10-game playthrough. You get your board, and it's double-sided. Now, one side is the underworld, and you'd only play with that probably about 4 times at max, and most of that side is complete. But your above world, that side is very minimally put on the board. When you start the first game, you're only working with about a third of your space, which comes out to about half, maybe a little bit more than half of a regular game of Clank's size board. But as you complete certain missions, as you get progressed to certain games, eventually you start unlocking more and more, and you start putting out pieces of the map. You start expanding out and adding in new places to get more of your artifacts. Do you start adding more cards in? You have a really cool concept where, unlike in the regular Clank, where you have your 10 starting cards and then you just acquire from there, in this one you do have the ability that there will be vault cards as well as other versions of these cards where it will say, okay, this card is permanently added to your deck, and then there's another one that is at the start of a round, based on whoever goes first, you're going to get to draft cards, but they come with a cost. So the better the card, the more you're going to have to throw some Clank in right off the bat. And that will form your initial deck. And that's a really cool setup because it lets you really kind of, between that combo of cards you can get, have a real good direction to be aiming towards and help to see what you're going for. Are you trying to simply just grab an artifact and get out of there as quick as you can? It's okay to do it, but it doesn't mean you're going to win. At the same time, if you're trying to rack up all the points and you die before you reach the top, possibly before you hit the line, you may end up losing out on the points. So it's a really interesting game. Now, my wife and I have been playing with my sister and her boyfriend, and we are 2 games shy of finishing this up. Expectation is my wife's going to win. She kind of came out really hot in those first, I want to say, 6 or 7 games. She racked up 4 victories, and the rest of us had 1 win apiece. So very quickly, she took a pretty big lead. I've gotten a couple wins since then, but we're all mathematically eliminated based on wins alone. But they also give out MVP awards in this, and we don't know how those total points are going to matter. So there's still a chance that maybe at the end of the game, we'll end up getting them based on the points. We don't know yet. It's a really fun game, though, because it mixes that deck building, but it also adds in the ability to start tearing cards up and eliminating those from even being in contention anymore. So future games, cards are completely gone. You're going to have a whole bunch of cards coming out for missions, and then as you complete one mission, another mission becomes available. There's so much going on in this game. Now, I'm going to have pictures up for you guys, as I always do, but it's going to be limited this time because I don't want to show too much. I don't want to give this game away for those who want to play it. And unfortunately, I am most of the way through this game, meaning I've opened up a lot of it. So realistically, you're only going to kind of get some little snippets here or there. I don't want to have somebody who is really interested in playing the game see stuff they don't want to see yet. That being said, why don't we jump into our 7 categories and really judge where this ends up. The art is blow away amazing. I love the box. I love the board. I love the cards. They do such a good job. I think that it's fun, and yet it still feels like the game is serious in its environment. It's a thumbs up. When it comes to those components, you're talking about a board that's really good. All your pieces tend to be cardboard, except, of course, for your cards themselves. And all of it's really made to last. Yes, the game is intended to tear cards up when you eliminate them from the game. But it's not like they made it cheaper so it'd be easier. They knew that once you actually needed to tear a card up, you could do it. It's not like cards in regular games are impossible to tear. So I think they do a really good job. They put a lot of money into it. It's a thumbs up. your price. Now, this game is available, but it's not widely available because it's expensive. This game, when it first came out, was over $100. Now, I think today you'll find it occasionally as low as like 70, 75, but primarily this is a game you find on Amazon. You're not going to find this in a Target. You're unlikely to ever see this in a Barnes and Noble, and you might see it in like one of every five board game stores, but only a copy. This isn't something that's just sitting on people's shelves. So you got to go online. You will find them. They're there, but you just have to be aware of the fact that this is not one of those games that you buy because you really are expecting it to be a big running game in your collection. For me, I believe this is for Clank lovers. Or for people who say, I like Clank, but I'm not going to play it boatloads, you may want to do this one because it will give you a chance to play it over like a year span, enjoy the game, and then say, yeah, that was enough Clank for me, and that was a fun experience. We've been playing for about 8 months. I think that it's been a great experience, and when the board does get finished, I'll have a unique board I can use for my regular Clank game, so I'm really excited about that. But with that being said, I can't recommend to spend even 75. Never mind if you end up finding it inside a game store or around the time of year where people are charging full price, which is over 100 for this game. So it's got to be a thumbs down on that price. Your difficulty. This game isn't difficult, and yet at the same time, it's not easy. It's a game that is as straightforward as regular Clank. You're moving down, you're trying to slowly collect better cards, make sure that you're able to either move faster or fight monsters better, or that you're able to have better ability to buy more expensive cards, get money so you're getting victory points, get cards that have victory points, going after things that are going to help it when it comes to collecting the dragon eggs or whatever the small and the large secrets. There's a lot of different things like that when it comes to this difficulty and how you plan it out. And all of it adds up to me in a perfectly acceptable way that all levels can enjoy it. It's a thumbs up. The replayability. This game is literally a legacy game. The point of a legacy game is replayability. We always play it 2 times when we get together. So we'll play it, and then like a month, 6 weeks, 2 months later, we get together, we play it again. It's been tough because during the past 8 months that we were doing this, most of that time my wife was in a master's program, and my sister, now that my wife is done, my sister's also still finishing up her master's program. So that combo made it tough for availability for us to find all four of us being able to get together. That being said, I think the replayability is there. I think it works. It's a thumbs up. Your keys to victory. Now, I said this only a couple categories ago. Keys to victory are literally all over the place. Are you trying to collect the cards? Trying to get victory points off those cards? Are you trying to get better movement so that you can grab your artifact and run? Are you trying to get as many small and or large secrets as you can? Are you trying to fight the monsters and gain stuff off them? Are you trying to gather gold? There's a lot of options, not to mention going after whatever the individual missions are that are arriving. There's a lot there to go for. Keys to victory are a big thumbs up. Is the game unique? So you could argue that this isn't unique because it's a Clank game and it's a legacy game and there's so many different things that fight. That being said, this is unique. The reason it's unique to me is because it can't really be compared outside of the replaying of it to another legacy game. There's no other legacy game that you'd say, oh, do you want to play this one? Because other than playing it repetitively, it's still just totally different games. So then you compare it to Clank. Well, it's not Clank in space. It's a completely different game than that. And when it comes to Clank itself, well, the thematic area is the same. Those missions that it brings in, that ability for the variability of tearing up cards, permanently adding cards to your deck, having your own individual box missions, there's so much going on in this game that I do not see in Clank, that I don't see in other legacies, and that I just don't feel another game matches. It's got to be a thumbs up on that uniqueness. Overall, what do I think? This was one of my favorite legacy game buys and plays I've had yet. I think that it is a fantastic job by them, and I really hope that they end up going for a second Clank Legacy at some point, trying to see if they either do the in space version or if they just want to go on another, you know, Acquisitions Incorporated mission and say, hey, we're going back into it, and here's our second run through. I think it's a fun time, and it's definitely one that no matter what, I would consider to buy this a second time to play it again with a different group of people to see if it's any different because I've had such a good time playing it. But that's just me, and it's all up to you and what you think. Do you like legacy games? Do you like Clank? Are you even interested in this style game? Is it too big for you? Or is this just not your thing at all? Or is it perfect for you? Is it something you kind of right on the edge of and you're like, I don't know, it's a little expensive, but should I? If you think you'd be interested, take the risk because I think it's worth it for its money, but only if you're interested. I wouldn't go wasting the money on a game that I'm not sure about. You can't go watch a playthrough because you'd ruin the experience for yourself. But what you can do is you can go and play Clank and see if you like Clank. Or you can go and you can play another legacy game and see if you like a legacy experience. And if you do, this might be for you. Well, it has been day 139, and we've been speaking about Clank Legacy. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.